let's listen to Steven Crowder talk about. We need to wait for Matt. We'll get to this in a moment, but I guess the point is that there's an infrastructure here. Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing handling one sort of small slice of this argument. Tucker Carlson handling a big slice. Here's Steven Crowder handling his slice of it. They all are sort of feeding out of the same trough, just a slightly different part of that trough. Here is Steven Crowder, more or less echoing, what Carlson's saying and what Marjorie Taylor Greene's saying. Play this.
Look, it's about voting demographics, just to be clear. I don't believe that people use interchangeably that race is destiny. Now, I also, by the way, this is something people won't like to hear. I also don't think there's anything wrong with white Americans wanting their neighborhood to look similar to how it looked with their dad and their grandparents. And, people tend to be comfortable around people they were raised with. Have you been to Mexican neighborhoods? Been to largely black neighborhoods?
Pause it for 1 second. Pause it for 1 second. I mean, this is, put aside for just a moment the fact that he doesn't say moms. It's just about his dad for this guy. But put that aside. The idea that people can have a comfortability living in certain areas, that's one thing. But to say, but he doesn't take the next step to explain to us why those neighborhoods existed, what was involved in the existence, what the implications of those in terms of education, in terms of jobs, in terms of real estate, in terms of intergenerational wealth. Yeah. I mean, they gloss over all of this. And granted, he's talking to, 15 and 16-year-olds, don't have maybe the sophistication for this, but he's carrying this water too.
Who?
Crowder.
Crowder?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just really thinking about these people. These Christians. I mean, I'm a Christian, but not their type. They better hope God isn't real, because if they are real, because we'll get to that another time. If I had a heart like Steven Crowder, I would not be evil like that and actually think I'm going to heaven. I talked to Jesus this morning while I was high, Sam. Crowder is not going to heaven, man. He better hope that God is not real, bro.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe why he's packing heat. He knows where he's headed. Let's continue on here with his. I
just got it, Sam.
And we should also say, Crowder talking about white Americans. He's white Canadian, but somehow he finds an affinity.
This dude's not even American.
With the legacy Americans.
Yeah, these are not the people that he grew up around. If he grew up in Canada, actually that's a different nationality. But then he conflates it with Mexican neighborhoods. Just really quickly, the point he's also trying to make here too is that neighborhoods that segregate and keep non-white people out are the same as Chinatown or little neighborhoods in pockets of urban areas where he says a Mexican neighborhood where people who are immigrants or find commonality with others in a society that deliberately excludes them.
It's also there's cheap rent there. That's why it's about white people can move there, and often that's a sign of rents are about to go up.
Right, but here, continue.
White Americans wanting their neighborhood to look similar to how it looked with their dad and their grandparents, and people tend to be comfortable around people they were raised with. Have you been to Mexican neighborhoods? Been to largely black neighborhoods? This is a natural process that takes place. Doesn't mean that you should seclude yourself, but I don't blame black people for watching black entertainment television.
Magnanimous.
I don't blame Latino people for watching Telemundo.
Now pause it for a second. Now, the jump he's just made here from you live every educational expert I've ever spoken to has said, tell me what the area code is, the zip code where they're living, and I can tell you what the educational outcomes are. But he makes this jump to what people want to watch on TV, as opposed to everything that is associated with, again, intergenerational wealth, education opportunities, job opportunities, essentially all of the material needs that you have that are associated with where you live is the same as Well, you want to watch something on BET? I mean, I'm not gonna, that's.
Well, you pointed it out, or Matt. The key word there was natural. He's naturalizing the way society is structured, so that, hey, if white people all live together, that's just their choice because they feel more comfortable, as opposed to all those policy decisions that created that. And hey, if more white people are in positions of power than black people or in Latino people, that's because naturally they're smarter and better at succeeding. And that's really, what's downstream from that.
Keep
Blame watching black and.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, isn't this the same dude who dodged your debate and dodged mine, Sam? Like that, he really presents himself to be some kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
He's packing some heat. Here, continue.
Television. I don't blame Latino people for watching Telemundo. I understand that we have different tastes because we have different cultures. Melanin doesn't determine how you vote.
This dude's from Canada, and he's adopted the white American culture.
As a white American from North Dakota, I can say that me and a lot of my white American friends watch BET after school all the time. Like
What? Give me a break. Come on.
Determine how you vote. Unfortunately, it's about buying votes from the Democratic Party. Like you said, they realized they weren't going to be able to buy the votes of, for example, Italian Americans who came here and started businesses and were paying taxes. They realized this back then, so they said, let's bring in a bunch of people who are basically indentured servants from these countries, so they'll be grateful to us and they'll vote for us. Well,
okay, pause it again. I'm sorry. I have to bring up what Talia Lavin said to us yesterday about how under these great replacement white supremacist assumptions, non-white people have no agency, right? They're only like, well, I mean, I know he's trying to draw on some obscure historical example there. Matt, maybe you can explain what the hell he was trying to say there. But specifically to now, when they claim, it's a deliberate attempt by the elites to try to replace us, they don't treat the people who are doing the replacing as having any decision making or agency of their own, which is like it's just another layer of the racism.
Well, without a doubt.
Talking about.
I mean, the fact is, his historical reference is a complete fabrication. If you know anything about machine politics, let's say New York, in terms of like every time immigrants came into town, this is exactly what was done here. Now, of course, we don't have those type of machine politics where people are actually literally getting payouts from the person that they want to vote for. And we know, statistically speaking, that in many cases, a lot of immigrants share more of these conservative values with Republicans than they do with Democrats. Yeah. And the idea that, yes, the people just come in to sell their vote is just absurd. But continue.
They'll vote for us. Well, now you see that changing a little bit, right, with those same Asian Americans back then. You're no longer convenient for them. You're starting to lean a little more right. So let's now bring in more people from Mexico. Let's make sure that our policy favors people coming from these countries, that hey, look, you remember who helped you, right? You remember who brought you in? You remember who, even during a pandemic, we paused is it Title 42? We paused Title 40, right? Remember we
I thought the pandemic was over.
Remember how to vote.
Wait a second. We instituted Title 42.
He's exactly wrong about that.
He's talking about now. He's talking about
now,
Biden getting rid of it. But I thought the pandemic's been over, bro.
It's also this notion of like now they're looking for people. First of all, it is not easier for there's no proposals that make it easier for people coming from Central America in any fashion whatsoever. I mean, it's just these are all just lies. But this is the job that he's doing here.